So, a couple huge problems I see with relationships that I believe have always existed is that when you say something to somebody out of anger, right, we may not mean it, or we may partially mean it in a certain perspective, that perspective that shows in anger, so it's like not something that normally bothers you, but then when you're angry, you feel the need to use it as a weapon. And then the person will think afterwards, well, I do this all the time. Does it actually make them angry? And you're trying to tell them, no, it doesn't bother me when I'm not angry. But they're gonna question that, right? Because we're all performers, and so we have a lot of philosophies and metaphors where we tell people not to worry about what other people think, but when that happens, we're all being crushed by the same force, trying to deny it, trying to hide it, trying to not let it be shown as a weakness that we're questioning that because that can be used against us. So when you say something out of anger, remember that that person's going to constantly wonder if it's actually a problem or not. And they're going to ask for validation that it's not, but then the next time you get angry and use it again, I mean, the more you do that, the more you're reinforcing. So, a person will end up seeing it as, well, this is all hopeless, and we should move on, but it's hard to in this modern age where everything is unpredictable, and our biggest fear is jumping off the cliff without a hang glider, hoping that the water will not have a bunch of jagged edges, jagged rocks right underneath the surface. So, but a lot of times that's when the real explosions in psychology happen. The learning is that unpredictability because you're going outside of your patterns. See, where I can envision those patterns without even going through them. I can envision these scenarios, and I can feel the feelings that a person would probably get. And it's a curse for sure, especially thinking my entire life that everybody did that and wondering why they thought I was crazy. I tell a dark humor joke, and everybody look at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Dude, why are you taking it so serious?" Jeez. Do I seem like a serial killer to you? Telling this joke raise red flags in a way that you wouldn't be able to sleep next to me at night? Like, what's going on with your brain, buddy? Calling me mentally ill, but for some reason you just seem like a lump of Play-Doh to me. And another problem is, and this one I actually hear a lot, is aphantasia with somebody that is able to disassociate. They're constantly asking this person, "What do you mean you can go in your head? What do you mean you can go in your head? What do you mean you hear a voice?" So imagine a life like what is loneliness? Well, what is loneliness when you don't have an inner dialogue and when you don't have an imagination that you can go into? So you're stuck with recognizing patterns that are around you and learning from what has been previously found before you. So the modern age depends on information that has been discovered, not information that exists. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that, and a person with aphantasia is playing cards while the person across from them in the relationship is playing cards with them, but also has a video game system that has, 10 billion video games on it. Now, not every one of those video games has a guide with it. Like we used to use back in the day, those old paper guides. Kids these days are probably like, I don't remember those. If it was before cell phones, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's like an ancient relic to me, and it sounds like some sort of uh, nightmare not having everything digitalized. And that's another thing too. Well, I'll get to that hopefully. But you see, the two people that are playing cards and the other person's playing a video game, has the choice of playing a video game, which would be disassociation and stuff like that. So you've got this entire universe, and here you are playing cards over and over again. There's only so many card games you can play. You got 10 billion games on this video game system that you can just plug a cartridge in and go. But look at a lot of gamers. They're angry when they spend 3 hours trying to fight a boss just to die, right? I mean, time dilation and everything like that. Like, yeah, we tend to get frustrated because, well, we just lost all that time, but we know if we could slow down, figure out the patterns of the damn game, it would make it so much easier. But it's like, what is stopping us from slowing down? Is it the disassociation in so many possible universes that we can play in our mind that doesn't allow us to slow down? Is it the emotion? Like, what is it that makes it so difficult for us to just want to sit down and enjoy a game of cards over and over, an entire lifetime of playing cards? But we can't seem to do that because we get bored because there's only so many games you can play playing cards, and you're not really in control. It's like playing one of those old games where it was all you had to read and make the decision, and it was all it was like reading a book, but you chose where that book went, and that wasn't a very high technological advancement. Even at the time, I mean, at the time, it was quite the advancement. But it's like D&D. These people, they use their imagination, so it's kind of similar. And D&D isn't very exciting unless you have a very vivid imagination and you can force those, not force maybe, but bring those feelings of you're actually being included in this other universe with other people, which there's a strange connection there. And even some actors were playing D&D back in the day, and I figure that's probably where a lot of their creative talent came from, is being able to branch out in your imagination. But the thing about the digitalized age is that these people are no longer just playing cards. It's opened up their universe a little bit, but it's more like they're just adding stacks of cards because of the way their internal mechanisms work. You're not going to understand our universe, even if we were to paint it out for them. They don't have that feeling of immersement. But the thing I wanted to say though is, like in this modern digitalized age, like I grew up in a time before phones, and I would be out in the woods, and I loved being in the woods. But there's a different kind of loneliness being in the woods now without that technology at your finger. Even when I have my phone on, it's like walking into the woods is not the same because now I'm disassociating, where I'm not even paying attention to the woods, and there's a different loneliness. And I can't exactly put my finger on it just yet, but man, I'm working on it.